Thank you for inviting me. I've been asked to join you guys here today online to give you a little flavor of what the BoConcept is, how our supply chain works, structured, and of course angling a little bit into how does AGR fit into this context. I was also asked to bring a few slides in regards to what is the future or the next year's challenges that we are facing, what is it that we are working on and we hope to be solving over the next year. A little bit about the history, very shortly. We all have a history. BoConcept started in 1952, growing out of a carpenter's shop in Herning in Denmark, becoming a furniture manufacturer. Over the course of those years, it grew quite fast, and we had at some point more than 1,200 wholesale customers. Somewhere down that line, we started opening up some BoConcept stores as well. And in 2002, it was decided strategically that we should focus on the BoConcept chain rather than continue to deal with the wholesale side of the business. So, of course, quite a drastic decision to make. Between 2002 and 2006, this change was implemented, and from 2006 onwards, there was fully focus on the BoConcept chain. In 2016, we were sold to an English equity fund, 3i, and that really accelerated not only the focus on building the chain, but also building the furniture brand, BoConcept, with Helena Christensen joining us here earlier this year as the latest addition to that journey. If we look a little bit about the whole change from the wholesaler to a retail brand, then you can say, why such a drastic change? Saying goodbye to 1,200 customers is quite a big decision. But it was a needed decision. We were really struggling. We were not in control of our resources. There was a lot of pull from the different types of wholesale companies. So in order to get into a push control and get in control of our cost and our flows, it was decided to say goodbye to these wholesale customers. Today we've grown the chain to more than 300 stores. We operate in more than 60 countries with approximately 100 franchise partners. So it's a medium-sized company, but with a huge complexity in the supply chain supporting these 60 markets. If we look at the franchise concept and angle that a little bit towards the whole supply chain part, then you can say it's relatively easy as a partner. You have one supplier, and that's BoConcept AS in Denmark. We have then, in theory, 200 suppliers behind the lines, but in reality it's 30-odd suppliers, of which 12 of them is approximately 70% of our flow. What we do is we control the customer orders coming in from the stores, cross-dock all these different orders for the partners, and deliver them to the store. You can say the general approach is that the partner should not hold any inventory, but should follow the standardized processes that are built, where we deliver the customer orders cross-docked to them at the agreed date at point of sale, and through that create an asset-light model for both us and the partner. If we try to zoom out a bit and then look at the supply chain of BoConcept, you can say it's built of 4 building blocks. We have the sourcing part, of course, where we have raw material from our own production in Denmark. We also have finished goods sourced in both Europe and Asia. Then we have an upholstery area that is make to order, where the other ones is make to stock. This is a separate part of our supply chain. And then we have our production in Denmark, located right next to our warehouse facility in Ølgod in Denmark, and our 2 distribution points in Ølgod and in Shanghai. So the distribution part is really where we kind of connect all the dots. This is where we cross-dock everything and where we ship it out. We currently have a split of 75% out of the European distribution center and 25% out of our Asian distribution center. If we then try to carry this into the AGR context and say, where do we use AGR? So in 2019, we implemented Microsoft D365 as our ERP system, and it was decided that this is our main transactional system. So the dotted line on the screen right now represents our ERP system, and AGR is solely used as a forecast engine in our warehouses, our DCs in Denmark and in Asia. We operate something like 1,500 SKUs, 4,500 lines when it's divided into the individual warehouses. I have to correct Hauger here because he said 2008, but actually the AGR implementation started in 2006. where a part of this whole shift from the wholesaler to the retailer started a major upgrade of our IT infrastructure. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see a lot of spaghetti. It was the IT structure when we were moving away from the wholesale business, and really it was focused on a production facility rather than a retail chain. So a lot of things had to be done. There was a lot of old legacy systems and a lot of Excel sheets, So something had to be done, and a part of creating stability around this was to implement AGR back in 2006. On the left side of the screen, you can see the development we went through from 06 to 08, from 35% of our revenue being sourced items up to 70%. So there's a big push in being in control of the flow coming in from our sourced suppliers. So if we look at these 19 years of marriage, like every other marriage, you have to kind of stop up and reevaluate sometimes. And if we look at that, I think when we look at AGR, we were extremely satisfied with the way that we use it in our context and what it's giving us. I think we see a steady flow of goods, and we have a very controlled inventory, and that's done through these very simplified user interfaces that Haugo also mentioned here in his presentation. The process and the model internally in BoConcept, just very briefly, is built around a monthly process, kickstarting every month, where we have the monthly update of our forecast numbers coming in. We have an internal logistical process tying into a lot of other different processes in the house, sales and operations planning, of course, inventories. We have supplier meetings, forecasts, B2B meetings every week. Also, our product lifecycle control is a vital part of these processes. I've just tried to add in a few slides on some of these main areas where we use AGR in our daily operations, just give you a bit more of a flavor on that. And of course, it's done primarily through the standardized reports. We still do work in Excel. It's still the best logistical tool we have, but we also do a lot of standardized reports in AGR, of course. One of the primary deliverables we have from AGR is our inventory control. We also use the data from AGR to generate our inventory forecasts into our S&OP process, but we don't generate the reports from AGR. It's done from our ERP and our BI platform. And it is with forecasting, as with everything else, it is never completely in control. What you're looking at on your right-hand screen here is top and bottom line forecast expectations for this financial year. And as you can see, the dotted line was the realized inventory, so things doesn't always work as planned, but we will be back on track before end of April, my CFO has told me. So it's not a problem. A very important part of our processes internally, and actually one of the biggest resource drivers we have, is our news introductions. We have 2 annual news introductions running in September and December, and I know there's participants online from the fashion industry who'd look at 2 annual introductions and say, okay, piece of cake. For us, it's a huge undertaking, and it's mostly because we introduce the products on the same date globally in the 60 countries we represented in, meaning an online push and, of course, showroom models to be in place. This is thoroughly controlled via our AGR system and the guys working with this, and it's tightly interconnected with our P2M process and the stage gate model we're operating there. The flip side to news, discontinuances, obsolescence, talking about the CFO before, this is another area where we always have good discussions. You can say on the obsolescence side and the discontinuances, I've written that we have a highly successful model. It sounds good, but I actually do believe that we are in a very good control of our discontinuances process. We start phasing out products 10 months before it's taken off the floor in the shops, and we start reduce safety stocks, forecasts, and work with all the different parameters in the system to have as little as possible in stock at the end of the year, and still also, of course, use our S&OP processes to get rid of as much as possible prior to that date. The last point I brought in regards to the overall AGR usage is our B2B. So when starting out with the retail chain, it's been B2C that's been in focus. It's the in-store experience and everything that's happening. Everything has been revolving around that. But over the past years, the B2B business has been an increasing part of our business, and an important, and it's a strategic area that we are focusing quite a lot on. And I think, like most others, moving from B2C to B2B, it is a huge headache. There's a lot of different aspects, a lot of different things we have to get used to, processes that has to be different. But I think we're now getting into a process where we are in a relatively good state. We'll never be in control of our B2B business. But again, we try to use the tools available, trying to get as much in control of the pipeline from our B2B partners as possible, building in orders on 3, 6, 9, and 12 months horizon. We still get a lot of orders in with 2, 3, 4 weeks lead time, and we still have to solve those, of course, as well. So I was asked to also try to say, okay, what is it, if we look a little bit ahead, what is it that is the main focus for us? And I think everybody participating here online, here in the office today, we know that it's a challenging outlook, and it's really difficult to do something with the political instability and whatever we're looking into. But what we can do something about is the different things in our control. And here, especially for us, and I think for a lot of different companies, data. We have so many general compliance things that we have to solve over the coming years. European ones, local market compliance, and also when moving into the B2B business for us, there's a lot of data in regards to just be licensed to play and to deliver into these bigger B2B projects. What we're trying to do is to turn that around and say, okay, in the past, we've always said that when we're working with our suppliers, we're working with a partnership. But I really think that it's not before now we start to fully understand what it is our partner does, because the depth of the data that we're now starting to get because of scope 1, 2, 3, all these different things is really starting to show a full picture of the suppliers we're interacting with. I think we should look at this as a possibility and start to see how can we integrate even better with our suppliers. Also another funny thing talking about the development over the last couple of years. There's a lot of text on this slide, I'm sorry, but I think if you asked us a couple of years back before Corona if we thought we're in control, then I think, and that goes for everybody, pretty much everybody would say yes, we were completely in control, bring it on, we were ready for whatever challenges we'd be facing. I think what we learned from Corona was that, and also talking into the comments from Hauge before, data, being in control of data, having the right data and the quality of the data that you have to make the right decisions. We simply didn't know enough about our supply chain, about our suppliers. We didn't have the full understanding of what was going on. And of course, there's a lot of things you cannot be in control of, but even how our suppliers reacted and describing that was very difficult for us. So we spent the first part of COVID making a lot of PowerPoint, explaining ourselves, and then as we moved into the later part of the Corona period, we got more and more in control. And I think it's safe to say that we're standing now, we're in a much better shape than when we moved into the COVID. Also, looking ahead, so what we can be in control of is digitalization. And I think it's fair to say now I have a colleague joining a panel here later from the furniture business. I think we're not the most digitalized business in the world. It's a lot of the furniture business is relatively old school. So right now, for instance, we are just finalizing the last barcoding, tracing, and tracking through our warehouses, getting in control of that, moving into AI and moving into the whole robots and moving away from too much manual handling, getting speed in our processes. That is our main focus in the coming years. And then, of course, we're also looking forward to implementing the SaaS solution. And that's also the reason I mention that is not to please AGR, but it's actually because I think it taps into our focus on adding speed to our processes. Today we only update the forecast between AGR and our ERP twice a week, and you can say in the big picture that is good enough. But if you're coming right out of a meeting with our production, making changes, and you want to push that through right away, we're not able to do that today because of the way that we integrated. When moving into the SaaS platform, we look forward to a lot more agile processing between AGR and our ERP system. And now I've talked a lot about performance. Or maybe we should just stop up here on the second to last slide. So how did it go? So the target for BoConcept is to deliver 95% of our orders on time at the first confirmed delivery date. And you say our overall make to stock delivery performance is actually pretty much in control. The data you're looking at on your screen right now is starting from June 2019, where we implemented the ERP system D365. Not the best timing, as COVID hit us right after we implemented it, but again, it just shows that there are peaks and troughs in this, and this is the world we're in, and this is what we're here for, to try to solve this. I think we are in a much better shape also. We spend time on not, we're solving root causes rather than building reports. And also in our B2B processes, we start to see now we're really getting a good grip on this. And it's still a challenge, but we're in much better shape.